Hello there, and welcome back. This is another video of, Final Fantasy, A Realm Reborn. I decided to do one this time of my tank. One thing I forgot to go into in the previous video, by the way, another thing I like about this game. You can literally make one character and then give it all the classes. There is no end to the amount of classes you can give your character. However, that does mean that if you're going to do quests, you need to be very careful about how many you do on each character, because you don't want to leave yourself with too few fillers, let's say, between classes. So, that's the only downside to it. But, for example, this is the same character that is my bard that was in the previous video, but I've literally just switched weapons and made myself a tank this run. And I'm just literally running through one of the mine dungeon. I can't remember the name of this one either. I'm still learning all the names. This is a guild group that we've got on the go here. I'm sure these guys will be very happy to be in the video again, and they seem to enjoy being in the last one, so I got some good feedback off them. Anyway, so we'll basically just run through this instance. I was trying out the tank class a little bit, and I was finding I was really beginning to quite enjoy it. It's a challenge to try and hold aggro, especially because everybody just runs in straight away, and if they get a hit off before you, it's incredibly difficult keeping ahead of the aggro curve, so at least in the starter levels anyway. I'm not sure what it's like later, it probably gets a little easier, but at the start, because you don't have a taunt or anything, you've literally got to keep ahead on the aggro. Now, the great thing about it is, it takes skill. It actually takes a bit of skill. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know when you can leave a mob, when you need to go for it. And of course, it also takes the rest of the group as well to know what you can handle and not to overdo it, otherwise they're going to land themselves in trouble. And there is a couple of occasions in this video where one or two of our party members decide to go a little bit trigger happy too quickly, and they do actually get aggro, and I can't get it back. I'm doing everything I can possibly do with the abilities I've got to try and get the aggro back off that mob, and I can't. They're too far ahead at that point, and that just makes it a lot more difficult for the tank to actually keep control of the situation of the fight. So this instance is, I think, the third instance that you come across, and you come across these instances through questing. Basically, your story quests will eventually lead you to an instance, and that's when you can go in and do the instance. And so I think this is the third one along. However, when one of your characters has unlocked the instances, say my bard has unlocked quite a few of them now, my tank, who is a much lower level, doesn't have to unlock them anymore. They're already unlocked, but he can only do the ones, or she can only do the ones that her level is ready for. So you can't, jump straight into an instance that's like 5 levels ahead of you, because it'll lock itself to you until you hit that level. I kind of like that. It can be a bit annoying because they do kind of switch between whether you get a dungeon through your story quest or through just going to a random place and talking to a random person and they give you a quest to go to a dungeon of some kind. That can get a little bit annoying because there's no way of actually knowing. There's been a couple of dungeons that I've not actually got to until way past the level that I needed to do it, because I didn't know where to go. I thought it was I thought you did it through the story, and you didn't. So you do have to be a bit careful of that, but otherwise, apart from that, it's normally fairly straightforward. You'll run into a quest eventually that says, oh, you need to go here. There's a big problem that we need to take care of. So what you need to do once you start unlocking these dungeons is, I would advise running them and trying to get as much gear from them as you can before you go to the next one, especially if you're playing a tank, because the difference it makes if you've got yourself geared is unbelievable. The first instance I didn't really do anything with my gear. I just ran straight in there, and I was taking damage pretty heavily. Whereas this dungeon, I've prepared myself a bit more. I've got a lot more gear on me, and you can tell because my survivability has shot right up. I'm not taking half as much damage as I was in the first one. And it allows me a bit of breathing room. Instead of having to use all my defensive cooldowns constantly like I was in the first one, I can now pick and choose when I use them to keep myself alive in situations that could get hairy. Say if we pull too much, I'd have them available for then instead of just having to use them every pull. Because once you do that, when your gear's not good enough and you're having to do that, you're leaving yourself short at a time when you might need it. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically trying to keep ahead of the aggro curve on packs especially, because packs are rather annoying, especially low level, because you only have one ability that will AoE taunt things, and that one ability unfortunately is on, I think it's a 2-second cooldown, and it shares the cooldown with your other tanking abilities that are single target. So you've really got to kind of weave it in if you're tanking a group. You aim to do a solo ability, AoE ability, solo ability, AoE ability as much as you can, so that you can at least be getting some aggro on the other mobs around you, in the hope, of course, that your party doesn't decide to just, jump on them and start bashing them over the head with whatever it is they use, because if they do that, you're in trouble. You're going to lose it. And once you've lost it, getting it back, like I said, at this low level is very difficult. In fact, it's near impossible unless they stop attacking. And nobody ever stops attacking, because once you've got aggro, you panic, and the immediate panic thought is, I've got aggro, what can I possibly do to get rid of aggro? Kill it fast, hit it harder, hit it faster. Where's that sock with a brick in it? I'll fucking bash it over the head with that. So of course, it becomes a mad race between the tank and the DPS, and the tank's never going to win it. So, there's not a lot you can do other than move on, carry on. So I'm not actually very used to the layout of these instances, if I'm quite honest. It's only really, I think, the third time I've done this instance, so as a tank leading the way, I kind of get a bit lost sometimes, and I'm not exactly sure where I'm going or why I'm going there. And we were trying to do a bit of a speed run because it was an hour before the servers went down for maintenance. Ended up we did it in under half an hour, which is pretty good actually. I'm quite happy with that. And I only lost aggro 3 times, and that's because you silly people, you're gonna watch this video, you silly people in the group, you hit it before I could. There's a couple in particular. Who are you? I believe it was you, Black, and you, Captain. You both went a little nuts at one point. I got a little worried you were going to start complaining at my tanking, so I tried to make sure that didn't happen again. But don't worry, it's all good. So as we move through the instance, I've left the full run of this instance in here because I cut up the previous one. And to be honest with you, had it not been about 50 minutes long, I probably wouldn't have cut it up. I would have left it like this one. But because it was such a long run, I didn't really want to subject people to a run that took that long, because nobody's going to watch that. But this is under half an hour. It's a reasonably quick run. And you get to see the whole dungeon, and like I said, the dungeons look amazing. The detail in them is just unbelievable. I mean, even this one, which is an underground setting in a mine, not a huge amount to look at really, but for what there is, it still looks really good. And there are sections of this instance where it opens out into caves and it looks a lot nicer, and you can see a lot of the artwork that they've put in, and it really does. It does capture the imagination. You do actually feel like you're in a mine. You know, it's everything that's there is there for a reason. And I hate this fight, by the way. This fight with these friggin' bunnies, whatever they are. Yeah. Oh god, just spamming flash constantly. Okay, so instead of me talking about this instance constantly, because you can pretty much see what's going on. A few more things that I like about the game, and I might come across something that I don't, I'm not sure. But if you know the Final Fantasy universe, you'll be very happy to see that there's a lot of creatures, a lot of bosses, a lot of general mobs that you fight that you'll recognise from the series. From pretty much every game that they've had, they've got something in here that's from them. I mean, I'm not going to reveal, because that'd be spoiling. I want you to kind of play it and sort of go through it and go, oh my god, they've got this in there as well. But I love coming across these creatures and going, oh god, I hated those in the game, they were really, really nasty. And then finding out that in this they're also really, really nasty. And yeah, it kind of makes you happy to know that they're there. This boss. Yeah, this is one of the bosses where I believe it was Captain. Damn you, Captain. He went a little crazy, and he decided to jump on the boss before I could even land a hit, and basically I spent 3/4 of this fight trying to get aggro back. I did manage it right at the end of the fight as it was about to die, so it was kind of pointless really. I should have just left it, but oh well. I can't leave me mates to, you know, take the wrath of this boss. Not that he hits that hard really, but oh well. And our healer had it covered. He was doing pretty well. Actually, no wait. Oh, you know what? I'm getting confused. I don't even know if it was Captain who was healing or the DPS. And ignore me. Anyway, I don't know. I digress. Character creation. Just going to have a quick little go about this because, well, it's amazing. The amount of options that you get when creating a character in this game is sickening. I could literally, you know, if I wasn't so just wanting to get in there and start playing the game, I could have literally spent an hour, maybe two, creating a character because there's that many choices, that many options, that many dials, that many looks that you can go for. I could have honestly spent so long doing it, so very long. But it's brilliant because you can get a very unique looking character. And I'm quite happy with the way my character is. Obviously, when you're in-game, there is a way of changing your hair colour, your hairstyle, and everything. But as for race and general body type and everything, that you cannot change. Once you've picked your character, the only things you can change in-game are your hair colour, tattoos, markings, that kind of thing. All cosmetics, basically. You can't change anything physically about your character. But I've got my character in a place where I quite like how she looks at the minute. And again, the only reason why I chose a female character, not a male character, was because I knew that I was going to make a bard, and I knew that the bard was going to be my main class. And the thought of having a male bard seemed a bit, I don't know, I've seen the armour that bards get later in the game, and I would have looked a little weird, let's put it that way. You know, the female characters still look pretty weird anyway, but it's not quite as bad. I know that shocked a few people, but, you know, it's like that. It's an MMO, it's a fantasy genre. Yes, I'm also a cat, you know. I'm a cat, so, you know, being female I think should be the least of anybody's worries at the moment, because I'm a cat. Anyway, so this group of guys I'm playing with, I'm going to move on to that. This group of guys I'm playing with, we're in a free company, as it's called Dragon Warriors, and these guys sent me a random invite. I was literally only a few hours into the game when I got this invite, and I thought, why not? I'll join, I'll see what happens. So I joined, and you know what, I'm really happy there. These guys are amazing, they're such a good laugh, and you can just talk really stupid with them, and everybody kind of gets it and plays off it. And they're a good bunch of players as well, they know what they're doing, so I'm quite happy. I can see good things happening with this free company. I keep saying guild, it's not a guild, it's a free company from now on. But yeah, so we were doing this run. They didn't actually know I was recording until afterwards, but I'd shown them the previous video and they were all kind of happy with it, so I thought, hey, why not? We'll do another one with me tanking and people doing a few different roles maybe. And I've gone for a very red look with my armour. I'm not sure why. I might change that, actually. I don't know if I like the red look because everybody chooses red, and I like to choose things that aren't as popular, so I don't know, maybe I might go for a puke brown. no, I'm not going to go for a puke brown. Anyway, other things that I quite like about the game: crafting. I actually like the crafting. As annoying as it is, and it is very long-winded, I do like it because it does actually feel like you're making this item. It feels like you're putting your specialty into it, that you're improving the quality of it as you make it by what you do. And at the end of it, you get the item out of it, or you fail, and you know, depending on how high quality the item is when you finished making it, depends on what the item is that you actually get at the end of it, I believe. I've not really looked into getting too high quality at the minute because I'm still leveling it, but it does take a while. I'm not going to lie, it's like a business basically. You're starting your own little business. It takes time, preparation, effort, but it's rewarding. It can be very rewarding when you do it. So crafting, I quite like it. I like it because it feels like you're doing the crafting instead of just watching a bar go up and go, hey, done. You know, craft 100 bars of ore or whatever. Click on go and sit there for half an hour whilst you wait for them all to do. No, you actually do it yourself, and that's kind of cool. There is an option for mass producing, but you negate being able to create high quality items by doing that. So you can do it if it's just for a simple grind, but I wouldn't advise doing it if you're going for lots of high quality items because it just won't work very well, if at all. So what we've got here, going back to the instance for a second, is the blob boss. This boss has much ado about nothing, really. I can't even understand why they call it a boss. You pull it, you tank it a little bit so that it doesn't run off just hitting random people, then you keep it basically where I've got it now. A bomb will come up out of the floor. You should all recognise the bombs from Final Fantasy, for God's sake. They're like pretty well known, I'd say. And then the bomb explodes, you move out of the explosion radius or it kills you, and the blob gets split. And you just do that over and over and over again until they're tiny, and then you kill them all. It's not really a boss fight. Especially when you compare it to like the Chimera that I was fighting earlier in the evening. That was a boss fight. That was a really good boss fight. I'm going to get that one up on YouTube at some point as well. I really enjoyed that fight. I enjoyed that whole instance actually, but that fight was good. Difficult, tricky, and you needed to know what you were doing, but it was true of the Chimeras in general in Final Fantasy anyway. I remember them being quite a nasty creature to come up against, so it felt good that they'd made it that way in this as well. So as you can see, bomb goes boom, blobs go splat, you go, and that's pretty much the boss. Loot. It's pretty much free loot, really. We've even done this without a tank when Black decided we had a random tank who was a bit not very good, and Black decided to get him killed by a bomb, run in, pull the boss, and leave him locked outside, and we did the boss without the tank, so you don't even need a tank for this boss. That's how ridiculously easy it is. But don't be put off. Not every boss is as easy as that. So, yeah. In fact, majoritively, they're actually pretty tough in their own ways. So, what I've got now, we need to collect these like explosive bits because we blow through the walls and everything. And we just can't. I think we're moving on to the last boss now. Yeah, we're moving on to the last boss. This is where the instance opens up a little bit, and you start to get a bit more of the cave kind of feel to it. Not the best instance to show off really for looks. There are better ones, admittedly, and you will get to see them. Don't worry. This one's very dark, very gloomy, but like I say, it's a mine. It's supposed to be, you know, but that in itself is good. So what we're doing here is we're literally just moving on through, and we're going to basically finish these off as quickly as possible and run through to the last boss. Now, I've gone through a number of things. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I'm sure I am forgetting something that I enjoy very, very much about this game. But let's try and think about something else that I maybe don't like. Because at the minute I'm sitting there going, oh, this is amazing, this is amazing. And there are down points. It's not all brilliant. You know, every idea that's in this game, every mechanic, every, you know, all the fates that I was talking about in the previous video, these have all been taken from other MMOs. Now, before people sit there and cry out, copycats, copycats, oh my god, you've got to understand something. Even the mammoths like Warcraft copied off other MMOs. Every MMO in history has copied off another MMO, apart from maybe the original, because that was the original and had nothing to copy off. However, every MMO since then has taken ideas to improve on itself. And that's exactly what this game's done, so, you know, fair play to them, they've made it work. They've done it in a way that works. I've known MMOs recently to try doing that in a way that didn't work. Guild Wars 2, sorry. But yeah. So this game has taken quite a few ideas from other MMOs, but it works. So you could see that as a down point maybe. But it does have its own unique moments as well. It's not just that it's taken everything off other MMOs. There are things in this game that are of its own standard, like the you switch weapons, you switch class thing. Okay, you could argue Rift had multiple specs that you could be, but that required respecking. That you couldn't just switch between them, and you can in this to a point. You kind of choose when you want to do it, and you start from scratch. You start from level 1 with that class, and you level it up, and you can put your attributes differently into that class, and it'll remember all of it. So it has done things itself, and it has borrowed, shall we say, some things from other MMOs. Don't think borrowing's bad. Borrowing isn't bad. Okay, borrowing is good. It takes the best of what you already know, and then it tries to improve on it. So, what I can say is, I do like the fact that they've gone with a very up-to-date kind of graphic style. A lot of MMOs go for the cheaper option of, you know, pulling it back to a kind of cartoony style and whatnot, and although that works in some cases, in others it doesn't, like the Old Republic, for example. That didn't look great, if I'm honest. It didn't look great at all. So, I'm glad they've gone with this style, because it fits it works. It's a very Final Fantasy kind of style. And it shows that MMOs can look good. I mean, yeah, okay, you've got Elder Scrolls Online and everything, but that's been not receiving a lot of great feedback. So, you know, sometimes having big sparklies all over the place means they're compensating for something. But another down point. Let's try and think of a down point or two. Not that I like to end on down points or anything, but last boss and all. I feel that sometimes the quests can be a little slow, or they can have you running abnormally large distances for next to nothing, and that's one thing that does annoy me a little bit. Or quest lines go on for too long. If anybody from Squaresoft ever sees this, by the way, the quest line before Titan, no, bad Squaresoft, bad Squaresoft. It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad. It was a grind, shall we say. But anyhow, what I am going to say now is I'm probably going to stop talking, because this is the last boss, and I've got to be bringing this to an end at some point. I've waffled a lot again. Thanks to the guys from Dragon Warriors who helped run this instance. I know that it was a very rushed one before the maintenance, but we did okay, I think. And yeah, if you're ever on the Odin server, feel free to contact us. You know, we're happy to have new people in the free company, and we're happy to take people on instance runs and things. So if you're on Odin and you run into any of us, say hello, and we'll say hello back, and possibly invite you to the company. When I say possibly, if Black has anything to do with it, definitely. So feel free to join us, feel free to say hello, and I hope to hear from you very, very soon. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know it's a whole lot of me talking and not about very interesting things at all, but you know, sometimes you just gotta get it out. So anyway, keep it in your pants, Bartowski. Anyway, if you know where that's from, good on you. Anyhow, I'm going to stop recording now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I will be putting another one up. I might leave it so that the next one is just literally sound, music, and no talking, just so you can get a feel for what the instance is actually like. But until then, I will see you next time. Goodbye.